Hey there, welcome back to the channel. I've owned this 1974 Power Wagon for quite some time, but I've always wanted to get a stepside bed for it. I had one back in the 90s, I liked it, I've wanted to convert this ever since. Been looking for a bed for several years, and I finally found this one. Happens to be attached to an entire truck, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So let's do a walk around on this guy and see what I ended up getting. First, I love the patina on this. The color is nice, but that pinstriping, just the overall feel is really good. In fact, it looks nice enough that I'm considering just taking everything off of this and swapping it onto the other truck. The other truck, this one here, it's a 74, so it's got lockout hubs, a divorce transfer case, and an 8 3/4 rear end. This one is, I think, a 78. It's got full-time four-wheel drive, which really sucks. This front knuckle up here, the bearings are terrible. It was a crappy design, but whatever. So I don't like that, so I'd like the other one instead. I like the divorce transfer case, I like the lockout hubs, and I don't know, I haven't taken a look at the frame on this one yet, but the frame might be in better shape on the other one as well. But let's take a walk around and take a look, see what we ended up with. You can see it's a True Spirit edition. Somebody at some point put some red primer over the top of the blue, which is unfortunate. A cut and buff might take some of that off though and get it cleaned up. I love the fact that it has these Hoosier dirt track tires on it. That's just what it was delivered with because, well, it needed to roll and that's what he had laying around. You can see it's got a fair bit of rust down there. It's that big scaly stuff that I don't really like. So that means I'm gonna have to take a close look at the frame rails and things like that. Really common hole there. So even if I ended up keeping these, that's gonna have to get addressed. A little bit going on here. So the inside of the door, it's a couple of dots, but it certainly is worse than that on the inside. Got a little bit of a tear there, but that's nothing bad. Real common on these guys is for them to rust out through here, and this looks really solid. In fact, if we look on the inside, look at that. That's beautiful. That's unfortunate. Not 100% certain how I'm going to deal with that. My first instinct is to make some sort of a die, maybe a couple of different sizes, like, bullet shape or cone shaped, and drive it in here. But if you have any other ideas, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Can't quite tell. It pushed this over, I think, maybe a little bit. Yeah, so there's a little bit of work to be done here anyway. Now this is interesting. Look at this. It's a little hole there. You go, oh, well, it's just broken. But look at it from this side. That, my friends, is a bullet hole. So somebody was probably, this was just sitting out in the field and used this tail lens as a target, and hit here, went through, and amazingly it came through at an angle that it didn't hit this fender. So it must have come through just right where it hit here and went off that direction. So it's going to need a new one of these, but fortunately no damage there. I love this tailgate. If I can't reuse this paint, if it's too far gone, I'm definitely going to get a decal for that made up for the new one. No rear bumper, which is unfortunate, because the rear bumper over there, it's a handmade one, but it'll probably look like crap on this bed. These are our reverse lights. Those are obviously shot. The rear bumper was removed with a torch. This was just so the guy could get it on a trailer. He actually was hauling 2 vehicles back on the trailer. This came out of Arkansas. But you can see that the rear bumper wasn't in any good shape anyway. We'll get back to this bed in a minute after we finish the exterior here. This one looks like it's in good shape. And of course, there they go, doing effing construction on the road. I thought I'd get away without it. Alright, let's see if we can get some more video in while that front end loader isn't running. So this rear fender on this side looks super clean as well. Even in here. Again, quite a bit of scaly rust. You can see, you can see that 456 on there. I believe this entire rear end has been swapped from a junkyard pull. And we come along. There's a little bit of weirdness going on here. I'm pretty sure that's not factory. But it's important to have this filler neck and that tank if I'm going to do the swap. I want to pull the tank out of the cab on the other truck. This step's got a little bit of rot and tear here, but it looks real clean there. The cab looks pretty straight back here, no major rust. It's got a lot of this surface stuff going on, but again, not scary. Now, unfortunately, this is the damage that I'm concerned about. So we've got this wrinkle on this door and fender. I don't know that that's going to be easy to take care of. And if I wanted to keep this patina, I'd have to address that. And again, more of this red primer, but here, this is the unfortunate one. So you can see that this bumper got hit and smashed back into that. And that probably is what caused this too, is this hit pushed the whole thing back. The fender went back to the door and they probably, you know, opened the door to be able to get in and out, and that caused that other dent or bend. So unfortunately, front bumper also definitely not repairable, or at least not with any kind of a price that you'd want to pay. So I'll have to find another front bumper because, again, don't really like the front bumper on that. I can keep it. It's a hand-built tube bumper, but whatever. The grill, it's not in fantastic shape. I think the one that I have on the other is better, but you know, if somebody's looking for one, this would probably do it. And if we go back to the cab here, it's hard to see, but there's a dent right there. So I don't know that I really want to have to pull that. The glass in this one, let's see if we can get it at an angle. Front glass anyway is completely shot. All right, let's take a look under the hood. Okay, let's get something so that we can open the hood. There. Well, we've got a small block. We can tell that because the distributor's in the back if you're unfamiliar with Mopar. The whole engine is here. No radiator, but does have a fan shroud which isn't broken, which is unusual, and I actually need it. It's got a flex fan. I'll probably swipe that. The distributor is missing, and then this hole is open, and there's no air cleaner on it. It sat out for probably about 20 years, so Yeah, hard to say if anything got down in there. You know, if I was a gambling person, I'd probably just put gas in it and see if you could start it. Maybe, you know, use a breaker bar or something to make sure it's free. But I'm not going to use this. It's probably a 318 anyway. I've got a new motor, a Magnum, that's going to go in, so I'm not too concerned about it. So I'll probably take it apart, inspect it, and then just sell it off as a core. It's power brake, and it's got that lower profile booster. If you've done any work on power brakes lately, you know that those boosters are almost impossible to find. They have to be sent in and rebuilt. So that's a candidate for that. The steering column, it's an automatic. You can tell because it's got that little tab there. It's obviously, it's even more obvious inside because it'll have the shifter for an automatic, but you can identify that it is an auto by that. That looks good. Oftentimes that's where they wear out. Power steering, non-air conditioned, so all of this bracketry and stuff might be handy as well. Generally speaking, looks pretty good. I'll probably pull that out. Another thing I wanted to do was probably take the inner fender wells, get them cleaned up and either rhino lined or Line-X'd, something like that, to get them in. Unfortunately, that does not look good. So the whole front of this fender well on this side is just rotted out. It might even go into their core support. You can see the core support's got quite a bit of rust there. I was hoping to use this as a spare that I could clean up, get ready, and just swap it out with the other one. On this side, hard to see, but this is why that other side rotted out, is pine needles and things like that collect down here, and then they collect moisture and it just causes it to rot. There's the breather cap for there. Once we get into it, we can we'll know more. Alright, let's head to the back. So the bed on the inside, at least the sides all look good. Now, unfortunately, it's a metal bottom. I'm not a fan of the metal bottom. Maybe a little bit of rust there. It's not 100% obvious, but if you take a look, this bottom is rusted out there, but it looks like it's just welded in. And the fun thing is this is actually not originally one of the steel bottom beds. If we take a look down here, you can see this is a wood bottom bed, which is fantastic. I want to go back with a wood bed, and that means that at least all of the bracing to hold the wood still exists on this truck. So I think I can probably cut this out. Hopefully there isn't a whole bunch of damage at the interface where this was welded in. But if I cut this out, I can probably go back to a steel bed, or back to a wood bed rather. Another common, you see these bolts that go through, those are what hold on that fender. Really common for those to rust out. The one I had back in the 90s, the fender had to be welded on because they were just in terrible shape. Well, let's see what it looks like inside. Ooh, nice hinge. There's our distributor. The seat's obviously in, well, 1970s sitting out in the sun shape. But it still has, it's got this seat cover on it, but it looks like it has most of the factory material on it too, so the foam might actually be good. So this bench seat, I could probably tear all of this off and reupholster it. The door card is, you know, it's pretty oxidized. It's pretty gray here. It's some sort of a blue, but it's not in horrible shape. This one's not in bad shape either. I don't intend to reuse them, but again, I can maybe recoup some of the cost of the truck by selling these parts off. So, if you're after blue door cards, here's a pair. Glove box, the door is in perfectly good shape, so it's not cracked or anything. The dash is up there, but that front bezel is in really good shape. Nobody cut it here or over there to put in, you know, like a tack or anything. It has been cut for the DIN style radio, but generally those are in never in this good a shape, so that's in really nice condition. Let's see, I get any bonuses here? Some hog rings, bottle opener, handle for a fishing reel, nope, no 1943 copper penny. Let's take a look in here. In my experience, this is pretty unusual. It's not melted out. Real common on these is to have one of these melt out and it screws the entire electrical system in your truck, but that's not melted, which means the wiring harnesses in this are probably also in really good shape. Yeah, I don't think I need those vents, but if I did, that one's not a candidate for reuse. Heater control, that all looks good. What we got in here? Mouse house. See if we can get under that. I'll have to pull all this crap out and take a look to see the condition of these floor pans, but at least right there in that corner it still seems solid. They pretty commonly rust out here. Might be able to tell from underneath as well. Swing around to the other side. Well, the hinges aren't near as noisy. It's a closer look at this dash on this side. I think it was originally black and somebody has spray painted it argent, maybe? I don't know, maybe that was factory. Somebody would probably know. Speedometer is in rough shape. It's missing the entire, not just the needle, but the entire plastic covering. The one in the other truck is fine, but I haven't decided if I'm going back with this original anyway. I might build a digital dash for it, so to be determined. Yeah, there's the lens for that speedometer right there. Kick down linkage for the transmission. Another breather. Voltage regulator. Oh, how did I miss that? Cassette head cleaner. Seen better days. Yeah, I mean, I see surface rust here, but boy, this does not look bad at all. I've seen some, you know, see all the way to the ground Flintstone stuff. And this definitely isn't that, so that looks great too. Well, there we go. There's a walk around of this new truck. Lots of projects involved here. Haven't decided yet if I want to keep the body. It's going to be a lot of tearing things apart and looking for rust and see what kind of repairs and paint and things like that need to occur to reuse. I'm about 50-50 right now on whether that's going to be doable. At the very least though, and the reason I bought the entire thing was for this bed, so we're going to get that swapped over. The nice thing about these stepside beds is they completely disassemble. So not only do the fenders come off, but the side rails come off, the front, the back. Everything can be disassembled, cleaned, repaired, and then put back together. So I'm going to start by removing all of that. Before I work on that, the first thing I really have to do is walk around this thing, and all the nuts and bolts that I can find that might be coming off need to get sprayed with penetrating oil so they can sit for a while and help me out. At any rate, that's all there is to it for today. Thanks for watching.